Hello, it is Brett Taggart here, and we are officially doing our second episode of the Hardware Diversity Show discussion, and we have another guest on the show today. It is Connor.
Hi.
Hi. So I thought, as I was saying last week, I could do it by myself, but I thought a guest on the show is a lot easier to talk to, and we'll just go from here. So our first topic is today, we've got a range of them from Windows, console talk, and some new storage technologies. The first one we're going to talk about today is, in fact, the Raspberry Pi. So have you had much experience with this before?
Not a huge amount. I do have one of the original B model Raspberry Pis.
Oh yeah, 512 RAM?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've actually released a new version with a new ARM V7 quad-core processor and 1 gig of RAM. And the very exciting news is Microsoft has jumped on the bandwagon and said they're actually going to be supporting it with Windows 10. It looks like it's going to be an RT version, so you won't be able to download anything in the store. I think you're only going to run stuff from the Microsoft store. But what are your thoughts about that?
I don't know. On one hand it's Windows, but then there's RT, which is not really something you want to have.
No, because Microsoft stopped producing RT tablets last year, I think, where they just said, no, we're not going to be making the Surface RT, and they've stopped actually developing the RT version. So I'm wondering why they're actually making a specialised version for the Raspberry Pi. Because I know Intel's making the Edison platform, which is coming out soon, but yeah, it's just interesting to see that they've made a new version of Microsoft. Thought, we'll just support it, because why not? But you can actually purchase these now for the same price as the original Raspberry Pi at $35, and I know you can get them $60 shipped to New Zealand for all your international people out there. So yeah, it's looking really interesting. I probably will pick one up myself just for the hell of it to see whether I can actually use it as a media PC. But you are getting 4 USB ports, an Ethernet port, an HDMI up to 1080p, and all that horsepower in the GPU and CPU department. So I'm looking forward to it.
Horsepower, quote unquote.
Horsepower. Why not?
Depends on your perspective, to be honest.
That's
but
true. It is
for the price, it's a good buy.
It is a good buy. Even though it is 900 megahertz, which is quite slow. I thought it would be a little bit faster than that, but I'll be interested to see how well it actually runs Windows, to be honest, because I'm not quite sure. But if it's going to be optimized, it's going to be optimized, and that's going to be the bulk of it, really. So our second topic is moving on to another Microsoft thing. Is actually about Windows. Another thing about Windows 10, and it's about the enterprise version. Basically, how we discussed last week on the show, explaining that it will be free for Windows 7 and Windows 8 people, and there may be a subscription after that, or for anybody who doesn't have Windows 7 or Windows 8. So basically, the enterprise version said it's not going to be free for anybody, because basically they're allowing people to stay on Windows 7 or Windows 8, and also the fact that the new security features and all that kind of stuff is going to add quite a lot of cost to the development of this. So is that a good thing, or is that going to be kind of a bit of a detriment to Microsoft? What do you think?
Well, Windows does have to make their money somehow, especially if they're giving out free versions to the everyday consumer. But it's fair cool to charge for your enterprise version, but these businesses get a big discount on their Windows anyway.
True. I mean, for people who've got MSDN subscriptions, you can actually download Microsoft operating systems for nothing. it just kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, but I suppose Enterprise... I don't know what kind of versions of Windows 10 will be out there, because they said they're actually cutting the professional version of the operating system, and they might even cut the ultimate version, so there might only be the Enterprise version and the kind of standard one for everybody else. So that will be interesting. I wonder if you have to pay for any of the features that were on the other editions of, like, you know, the ultimate and the professional version, you know, add that on to the standard one. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, although cutting out these other versions just could be another way of cutting costs, so they've got less different versions to have to maintain.
That's true, because if you haven't been following and you've been living under a rock for a while, Microsoft laid off about 30,000 people last year, and the bulk of them were testers for their, you know, bug fixes and stuff like that. So I'm wondering whether, because they did that, they thought, well, okay, we'll maintain less and we will support less, but still give you a reasonable product from what we can actually handle to maintain and to support. So that will be interesting. I don't know if I'll pick up Windows 10 myself. I might wait until it becomes, you know, a bit more stable and things like that, because to me, you know, initial release of stuff can be a bit buggy, as always with anything. But yeah.
Well, the developer preview they've got out seems quite stable to me, actually.
Yeah, as I said on last week's show, I have it installed on my dad's computer, and he's been running it for a few months, and it's been fine. Like, there's been no issues at all. So
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it'll be fine. I mean, it's a good thing that they released a developer preview, in my opinion. I know the Windows 8 one wasn't very good.
Oh, yeah, that was hell.
But hopefully the Windows 10 one will be better. Anyway, because, you know, if you're going to not be paying for it, then you're going to... Well, I know it's not going to be like Linux, but yeah, who knows. It will be in the coming months anyway, probably towards the end of the year when Windows 10 will be released properly. So, yes, that sounds good indeed. I'm going to actually cut in a new topic here, just an interlude, because I talked about this last week with my other friends, but I just thought, what are your thoughts on 4K as a standard at the moment and in the future?
Well, I'm thinking it's a little too early to be trying to bring it in, because we haven't got full saturation yet. And most people don't even know the difference between full HD and regular HD.
Yeah, because once again, as I was saying in last week's show, you know, most of our television is still broadcast at around 720p or less. In some cases we're doing full HD, but that's still very rare. But,
All your new ads are full HD.
Yeah, of course.
The programs, however, not so much.
No, a different story, definitely. I mean, even Sky, I mean, you're paying for Sky, and that's not even full HD. It's just, so, I mean, 4K, I mean, how is TV going to look on a 4K screen? I mean, I don't know, I don't know anybody with a 4K display, but I know because 1080p is 4 times less than 4K, so if you scale it up, then 1080p will look alright, but I don't know about 720p and less, because that will just look blurry and really just horrible.
Yeah.
But hopefully that will be better. I'm not, but yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to pick up a 4K display for my computer when FreeSync is released. But that's not for a few months, and that's a computer display, because there's a lot of stuff out there for computers in 4K. And Netflix is broadcasting in 4K, and I think a few of the other channels you can get online, and a lot of games support 4K. Well, not yet, but they will be in the future. So, I mean, for computers as a standard, it's fine, but for TVs, I think there'll be a while.
Pushing it.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything else you want to say on 4K at the moment, or is that all you want to say?
Not really. They're a bit expensive, though.
Yeah, I mean, I saw, I think it might have been at Leeming or Harvey Norman or something like that. You can get a 48-inch 4K television for about 1,500 New Zealand, which is not bad. That's actually quite good. But I don't know about the quality of it, but I think they're about $3,000 normally. You know, if you're gonna get something a cheaper model. So they've come down in price quite considerably. I remember when they were about $10,000, I was like, holy shit, who would pay that much for a television?
Pretty much.
But I'm glad they've
Still
come down
not
price a bit.
quite at the point where I'd go out and buy one.
No, not yet, no. And these monitors are about $1,000 at the moment. So, I mean, they'll be coming down in price eventually, well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Moving on for another product which I absolutely despise, and I'm glad this is coming along. I'll link you to the next story, which is something I very much despise, but we will go into it anyway. It is Adblock. Now, I talked about Adblock on one of my very early episodes of the Tech Talk with Dom, and it looks like Microsoft and a few other big players in the advertising industry are actually going to be paying to bypass Adblock. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that anyway? I mean, to me, ads, as long as they're not too intrusive, as long as they're there, they help maintain the profit margin of the website, in my opinion. And I think if they're not there, then basically you're encouraging websites to lose money. Because Adblock, I think it was last year, had a Kickstarter campaign where they were actually going to make an advertisement for the Super Bowl, if they got enough money, to say you should block ads. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, like, I don't understand.
Ad to block ads.
Exactly. Like, that's just counterintuitive on all levels. So, is this a good idea for two big companies to block Adblock?
Well, I use Adblock actually myself, but not to block just the little ads. It's those pop-up ones that really, they need to go.
They do.
It's the advertiser's fault that people have come up with this Adblock stuff, because honestly, no one cares about the little unintrusive ones.
No.
But when you start putting the pop-up windows and auto-playing videos in there, people really get annoyed at that. And, well, Adblock comes along, and everyone uses.
I mean, I don't mind YouTube ads even. Like, YouTube ads are fine to me.
Some of them are fine.
Yeah, I mean, even if they're like 30 seconds, I still don't mind, listening to them, because, I mean, if you're watching a YouTuber that you want to watch, then you're going to get money, and that's usually a good thing. But, I mean, I don't know, because it's kind of like, there's other Adblock programs out there now that supposedly are a little bit more customizable. But, I don't know, like, it's an interesting thing for the people to want to do that, so, I don't know, I mean, it's $120 billion, is what advertising on the internet is worth. So, I mean, is it kind of harmful to block ads? I don't know. Yeah, so that's interesting, definitely interesting, because I covered it in one of my earlier videos, and I had a bit of a rant and rave about it, and now people are finally kind of standing up a little bit to it. So, as you were saying, if the really intrusive ones go, then we won't be needing Adblock. So, I don't think they'll be doing that though. I mean, that's a bit of a wish anyway.
Yeah, it is.
Moving on to my next segue, which is really bad because I'm not really good at segues. I will link you the next story, which is about 4K capable consoles. Now, I'm not much of a console person. I understand that you are a little bit,
I play a few Xbox games, but not too many.
You've moved over to the greener pastures on the PC?
I believe the consoles and PCs both have their place.
They do. I agree. For people who want... I still think console gaming is a little bit more social. And,
Yeah.
You can play more than one person on one computer, which PCs are still struggling with, I think. Having more than one person playing on the one PC.
Yeah, it's a real difficult thing to do.
It is. And so this news story is about 4K and how consoles will be fitting around that. It's from Forbes, which is quite a highly recognised news website. And Netflix is predicting that 4K will be able to be decoded and actually working on the PS4 and the Xbox One if they make an update to the hardware of these consoles, because they want to be able to stream 4K to the consoles. They're not capable of doing that yet. So, I mean, is this something you'd be looking forward to?
Well, consoles really should, these next gen ones anyway, should have come out with 4K capabilities. Consider that they're updated like on a 7-yearly scheme, and 4K is like just coming in.
Yeah.
So we will have 4K will be commonplace by the time that, well before actually, the next generation consoles come out.
Yes.
So it makes sense that the current gen should get it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I wonder whether they'll be able to play games or they'll just be able to stream 4K video. I think that's going to be the defining thing. Because I don't think they're able to play 4K games. That would be far too stressful for them. Having video streaming at 4K would be quite good.
Streaming should be easy, to be honest.
Oh, it should be. I mean, hell. I mean, Intel integrated HD graphics can support 4K.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a 2-year-old console should be able to do it. You know, hopefully, theoretically. We will wait and see. But if this prediction is true, then hopefully 4K will be able to be supported at 30 FPS, which would be nice.
It would.
Definitely. Because, I mean, as I was saying about 4K not being ready yet for television, but having the online streaming capabilities outweighing TV as a, living room thing, then consoles could actually have something a bit nicer and be able to watch TV on consoles, which is what they were initially kind of for. They're meant to be a media center as well as a gaming display. So I'm wondering whether they'll need a software update or they'll just actually have to re-release the consoles. I don't know. I
think it would just be a software update, because from what I know about the consoles, they use a modified version of AMD's A series of processors.
Yes, which are old now. But
they can still hold their own.
Oh yeah, they should. But even though they struggle to play 1080p games, but that's a different story for a different day. But
this is games. This is
video.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh well. So that's an exciting piece of news for your console peasants out there. But we will move on to something even more exciting about Valve. I will look through this at the end, so to keep interrupting, but this is from kitguru.net, which is one of my favourite sites out there. And it's basically saying that Valve, in its infinite wisdom, praise Gaben, will be helping to integrate OpenGL into Steam OS, essentially, as part of their coding engine. So basically, and also, what's even more exciting about this is that Mantle will be able to support OpenGL. Because you know how Linux probably won't be getting, well, will never get DirectX.
Of course not.
And how Mantle, which is their low-level API, and his low-level API will be part of OpenGL, which means that you could be playing Battlefield Hardline on Linux in, this year. Which would be crazy. I mean, imagine that. Wouldn't that be awesome if you could be able to do that? Because I mean, I know that 30% of games at the moment do support Linux, but they're mostly indie games at the moment, and hopefully having the support would be good. So I mean, what is this exciting for you? Are you looking forward to this?
Well, not hugely, because I tend to use Windows for my gaming anyway, rather than Steam OS.
I mean, like, to me as well, but I think because of what's going to eventually happen with Windows and how, as we talked about last week on the show, how Gabe, went to Microsoft and basically was not happy with the direction that Windows was going when Windows 8 was released, in terms of them making their walled garden with, the Microsoft Store basically limiting other people who can make games. Could be, more people could be going to Linux. I mean,
that's true.
I mean, I'm not sure if I would, but if this is the kind of stuff that will be coming with their new support for new graphics technologies, hopefully people should be able to have a bit more at ease about gaming on Linux. So I'm a bit of a person for open source stuff. I mean, having that freedom where basically you're allowed to access it freely and better have no real control over what happens with it is a nice thought. But I mean, whether this actually happens or not is a good question. But I think because if AMD gets on board and they really put their support into this, then maybe we'll see Linux as a new gaming operating system.
That would be interesting to see. It would make building a gaming PC that much cheaper, though.
Oh, I know, because you are paying $100 for Windows at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, having that ability to be able to do it, as I said, that much cheaper would be great. Definitely, I'll definitely look forward to that. So hopefully the GDC, the General Consumer Meeting, is happening on March the 6th. So hopefully we'll keep you posted at that time to see whether this will be more of a development story, definitely. So yeah, that's quite exciting, I think.
Yeah, sounds cool, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that will be exciting all those Linux people who are getting all overexcited about things that don't need to, but hey, it's all good news. Going back to Microsoft, so we're going a little bit all over the place, but we will anyway, because that's what we do here. The next one is a story about DirectX and how DirectX 12 is in the Windows 10 preview at the moment, but what kind of performance implications will be surrounding DirectX 12 has been unknown until now, because we will be supporting DirectX 12 as well, because that is because NVIDIA and AMD said what supports DirectX 12, but they've never actually. There hasn't really been much testing, so to speak. So, if you've been reading, the GCN 1.0, 1.1 and 1.2, so the 7000 series and the R9 series cards on AMD do support it, but the 7000 series of the GCN 1.0 is buggy at the moment with DirectX 12, and the Kepler NVIDIA series cards and above do support it fully, but the Fermi 400 and 500 series graphics cards is not working at this moment at all. It is interesting to see that they've actually done some testing and the new drivers are working as expected. And so yeah, have you read much into DirectX 12?
Not really. It's a pretty new thing to me, but it doesn't surprise me that they haven't got everything working yet.
No, I mean it is only in beta. It's usually the Windows 10 beta, but it's basically going to be very similar to Mantle. I mean, it should DirectX 12 should be by AMD because Mantle is pretty much exactly the same premise as DirectX. But the idea behind it is going to have a lot more pixels can be addressed per frame than DirectX 11. About 10,000 times more pixels can be drawn per frame than DirectX 11. So you are getting a huge performance benefit when you are having those more beautiful games, the more high resolution games will be supported a lot better. And there'll be more efficient hardware usage because they'll get access to hardware a lot better. Because they have more access to it, which means that having the ability to be able to use it is a lot easier. So a lot of things just like that optimization and performance is just the aim of it. Kind of like how consoles have been programmed, because they don't use DirectX. And having they use more like DirectX 12 is going to be, so you are going to have that performance benefit here, which is great. But there was not going to be many games at launch. I think the only game that's been confirmed is the new Fable game. Have you played Fable?
I haven't actually played Fable. It's on my to-play list.
Yeah, it was kind of like an old 18th, 19th century,
role-playing game.
Role-playing game, yeah, pretty much. I enjoyed it on the 360. But the new one will be supporting Windows for the first time it's come to Windows. So hopefully that will work well, and then there'll be a lot more people supporting after that. But I'm going to be pretty sad for Mantle though, because as I said, Mantle has been out for about, I would say, at least 6 months. And it will just basically be dead once DirectX 12 comes out. So hopefully Mantle can be building more games, supporting more games before DirectX 12 comes out, so they will support DirectX 12 as well. So that will be interesting. So Battlefield 4 is a good example of supporting Mantle. There's a few other titles as well, like Plants vs Zombies, Dragon Age Inquisition, and there's a demo of it as well that shows the performance difference between DirectX 11 and DirectX 12 as well. So, and even 3D Mark, Firestrike supports Mantle as well, so that's interesting. Yeah, it's just moving on from DirectX 12 as well. Well, not moving on, but this is another article on some of the performance benefits you'll be getting from Mantle. DirectX 12, I should say. Sorry. So this is kind of the testing they've been doing in terms of their draw calls and what kind of performance increase you get from running Mantle DirectX 12 on hardware that supports it at the moment. So they're saying 600,000 draw calls per frame, which is crazy. That's just like, that's really quite big. And on the 290X, which I pretty much have a 290X at the moment, on the Starswarm demo, which is their Mantle demo that's been out for a while, DirectX 11 run at 7 frames per second, which is very slow, like unplayable, and DirectX 12 ran at 43 frames per second, and then Mantle ran on 41. That's crazy performance. I mean, that's
Jeez.
like how much. Like that's like I don't know how much more performance that is, but that's like crazy. I mean, that's just from changing the API. That's just how much changing how the software communicates with the hardware. There's actually a list there also, if you can read it, about what will be supporting DirectX 12 and what they mentioned from their live stream, the Microsoft live stream. Fable supporting it. Cross-platform games will be easy to support. DirectX 12 will be running on Xbox One, which, yeah, that's fine.
Makes sense. It's running a version of Windows in there as well.
Pretty much. There should be about 30% initially performance increase just from changing DirectX 11 to DirectX 12 on the Xbox One. So that'd be crazy. So yeah, that's another exciting thing about DirectX 12 because it's coming soon. You know, Windows 10 will be out, I think, in November. So yeah, bring on DirectX, bring on Windows 10. In my opinion, anyway. Any thoughts on that? Is this going to be? I'm going to write more article on DirectX 12, then we'll be moving on to some more exciting stuff after that. And then any more thoughts or anything like that?
Nothing you haven't already said. It's pretty amazing, really.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Here's the last topic on DirectX 12 before we move on. It is about AMD and what they're doing to, and Crossfire systems.
Excuse me?
Oh, there's an advertisement, sorry about that. It's basically talking about multi-GPU systems, about how they'll be changing the way that the memory allocation will be used in DirectX 12. Because at the moment, what happens is both GPUs, or how many GPUs you have in your system if you've got a big wallet, which I don't, you'll be having all 4 GPUs be rendering in one frame, which that means if you have 4 GPUs in your system, you've got 4 gig of RAM, that means you're still only having 4 gig of RAM, because each GPU will be sharing the frame, and which is fast. I mean, it works, and it's been working like that since the dawn of time. But whether how efficient that is has changed a lot since PCI Express bandwidth has gone up, and the demand for pixels have gone up, and basically means that 4 gig of RAM is coming to its limits essentially. So what they're thinking of doing is actually having the VRAM in your system as a pool, and basically means that the GPUs can access that pool whenever they like. So that means, like, say you've got like 4 gigabytes of cards, so you've got essentially 16 gigabytes of VRAM in your system. So what happens is, like, all that 16 gigabytes of VRAM will be filled up with just random information about frames, and the GPUs will specifically pick out frames from that pool that they can render by themselves. So they're all basically working independently of each other. So that means if you've got like 2 R929Xs in your system, you'll basically have 8 gigabytes of RAM, which that means you'll be able to render frames faster, more access to frames, and it'll just make it a lot more efficient. So I mean, like, are you understanding what I'm talking about here? Is this kind of...
Yeah, I get most of it.
So yeah, what are you... your thoughts on that?
Well, it would certainly speed things up, but I don't know how many applications would be that demanding that you actually need to be doing that just yet.
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying about DirectX 12, so it's not going to be coming until then. I have heard speculation that Mantle already supports this, but there's actually no games out there supporting this technique at the moment. But it looks interesting. I mean, because like I have ordered my 1095 X2 from the UK just yesterday, and that's only got, well, because it's got two 290X GPUs on the one board, it's still only got 4 gigabytes of RAM. So if this API comes along and says you've actually got 8 gigabytes of RAM and you can use all 8 independently of each other, that's going to boost performance, and that's really good for, you know, systems that support DirectX 12 and Mantle, because it will just, you know, it's just going to be quite a performance increase. So we will move on to something slightly more exciting. I'm sorry we basically knocked that to death.
Just a tad.
Just a tad, but that's fine. We're moving on to storage, actually, which is something a little bit more interesting. It is about what kind of storage you are getting in DNA, about how they're calculating what kind of information that is stored in there and how they've actually worked out that. It's very technical. I'm not going to go too much into it because there's a lot there, it seems, and you know, all these scientists, you know, are going nuts about it. But basically, they're saying 700 terabytes of storage in a single gram of DNA. I mean, that's like, wow. They've said they've successfully stored 5.5 petabits, or 700 terabytes, in, you know, in a gram of DNA.
That makes sense.
That's crazy.
DNA is tiny.
DNA is tiny, and it's everywhere. And how much information it needs to do things is just crazy. So I mean, like, is this gonna change the way we think about storage?
Potentially in the future it could, but at this stage it would be incredibly difficult to use it as storage.
Are we going to be... Because, I mean, you know, talking about Skynet and all the bloody robotic talk that's going on around, about how robots are going to be, you know, the new thing. But what if they turn us into robots? I mean, what if we are going to be able to get programmed in a different way that we already are? I mean, that's a way to think about it, isn't it?
If you want to get technical about it, we're already robots in that sense.
Because I mean, one of my episodes that I was going to film a few months back, they were talking about how they've actually programmed a computer to act like a brain already. It's a very big computer, and it's got definitely a different way of thinking about how our brain works and how computers can change to be that way. But this is I mean, as I was saying, you'll need 233 3-terabyte drives to be able to replicate that kind of storage. So I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with this information. I don't know where it's going to go, who it's going to have access to, but it's kind of scary that they've worked this out. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we always knew that there was a huge amount of storage in DNA.
Yes.
I mean, it has to store every single thing about how we're made up in, like, every single cell.
Yeah, because, like, each cell actually tells us all of our information. So each cell is, well, it's almost exactly the same. You tell who we are from every cell in our body. So, I mean, I don't know how big a cell is, I don't know how much storage is in each cell, but, I mean, kind of looking at myself thinking, man, how many cells do we have in our body, and how much information is in each cell must be incredible. So, I mean, that's a cool wee sciencey kind of thing that I saw that I think we could talk about here. So, moving on a little bit, something you'll be a little bit more interested in, because I know that you followed this a little bit. It's about Ubuntu. About Ubuntu phones.
Ooh, fun.
because I remember that they had their Kickstarter with was it the Ubuntu Edge? Was it the phone?
That was the phone, yeah.
Their desktop and mobile phone that was 2-in-1.
Yep. Well, not quite 2-in-1, but you could plug it into a computer and it would act as a desktop.
Yeah, which is pretty bitchin', I mean, if you ask me. Now, officially, there is going to be a Ubuntu phone, Ubuntu OS, which is not going to be that Ubuntu Edge which they promised, which they said there may still be in development, they may still do it yet. But this is just going to be how, skin on top of Android, what they actually have had out for quite a while now on Nexus devices. The Galaxy Nexus was one of the first phones to have Ubuntu OS. And this is going to be the first retail phone with it on it. I don't know, is this going to be good? I mean, I know it's a cheap phone, but is it going to be a replacement?
No, not even close.
Not even close?
It doesn't have the specs to match what they were trying to do with the Ubuntu Edge, but...
Oh, sure. I mean, they're not going to do that straight away.
It definitely gives people the opportunity to try out the OS.
Yeah, I would like it as a demo. If they had a demo in a shop, I would try it out. I'm not sure if I would buy one. It's a cheap phone, but it's not a bad spec phone. It is a quad-core with a gig of RAM. So, but it's... Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like... Are they going to use Google Play? Are they going to be able to access all the applications? Or is it going to be completely independent from Google in that sense? I don't know. There's a lot to be kind of seen about it. However, there is a walkthrough video that I'm playing on the screen at the moment, so there will be some. I will play that out for a little bit while we're talking about it. But I don't know. It looks interesting. It looks nice. I mean, it's not an ugly operating system.
No, it's a very nice looking operating system.
It's even got the Unity, feel to it. How they've got the side bar with you drag out your applications onto your home screen, which is kind of interesting. But it does look like Android, because it is Linux, obviously. But, it is... Is it going to be more optimized for the hardware? Is it going to run nice on that low-end phone, or is it going to be choppy? I don't know.
Can't say just yet.
No,
have to see how it comes out, really.
Yeah, it looks definitely interesting, and it's not... It doesn't look like crap. I might buy one if it's a cheap phone, just to mess with. Because it does look like it's going to be separate from Android, but yeah, that's another kind of thing that I saw around that looked interesting, to say the least. We have 2 more articles on the table, both about AMD. I'm sorry that we're covering AMD's death, but there's been a lot of news around them lately. The first one is about AMD and having fake processors, which is kind of interesting. About how they're selling APUs, but they've actually got AMD dual cores actually as their as what they actually are. Because suppose there's been a stuff up with Amazon and how AMD has labelled their processors. Which is quite funny actually, because I don't think that would do that, but obviously somebody's scamming someone. But I'm just telling you, I'm just highlighting to be careful if you're ordering something from Amazon UK and you've got an AMD 64x2 5200 plus instead of an A8 7600. Take it back, let them know about it. Yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of funny. So I just thought on there, I thought, it'd be kind of... Just thought it'd be a little bit of a comedy stunt, why didn't anyway. But yeah, it's just...
Wow, that is just bad.
That is really bad. As I was saying in the example there, if you bought a Ferrari and you find out it's got a Volkswagen Beetle motor, you'll take it back. It's kind of as bad as that, really. Because, you pay for a product and you expect to get the product. So they've got a picture there on what the pin configurations are, how they're quite different, and how if you try and put it in, you probably will damage your socket. So you don't want to do that if you've bought one. So that's kind of sucks. I mean, thanks AMD for doing all this other good stuff, and then you go and ruin your marketing by selling fake processors. I mean, that's kind of shit.
I don't know that it'll be their fault. Like, it could just be some screw up at the manufacturing plant that no one managed to notice in time.
Yeah, true. I mean, or they're trying to make a quick buck. And there's actually an update at the bottom of the page where you can see that there about how they've actually responded to what's been going on. And basically they said that you can take your CPU back if there is any issues with it. So I'm glad that they've come out and said that there's a problem and you're going to be able to fix it. So, as I said, if I keep saying though, if you have ordered one of these and there is an issue, you are allowed to ship it back. They will probably give you a refund and maybe you can replace it completely. So that's cool. I mean, I'm glad because not like what happened with the 970. Did you hear that? What happened with the 970?
Something to do with the RAM, wasn't it?
The RAM issue. I actually quickly want to go and play a video. Did I send that video to you, Connor?
I don't think so.
I will play you a video. You have to watch it on the stream afterwards. If I can actually get my mouse into Open Broadcaster. Oh, there we go. Scene 2. I'll go and find this video again, just for the laughs. I think it's the funniest video I've seen for a very, very long time. It's about, an engineer talking about the 970 controversy. It's a fake video, but I just thought to fit in a little bit more time. Okay, we'll make this screen for you people out there.
Skip, you might miss out on the chance to win $10,000 with ASB Bank using Snapchat.
And which button is it?
Ooh. Okay, sorry about that. But if you press skip, you wouldn't know about the ASB.
Me llama el cocinero. Risita, ¿qué? Ve por la paella. Venga, que las 2 de la tarde ya están aquí. Mira el bañador. La chancla. Todo despeinado porque no me dio tiempo nada ponerme la chancla y el bañador. Voy a la playa ya que la marea.
Actually, I won't play the whole video. I'll leave it as a link in the description of the video there. But we'll move on to our last topic, which is AMD again. Sorry, as I keep saying, we've knocked it to death here. We've beaten it to a horse. I promise we won't be talking about AMD next week on the show. But basically, the new GPUs are coming out in the next probably couple of months. They say Q2 2015, and basically saying that there's actually only going to be one new board completely in the whole setup. Two new boards in the whole setup of in the whole lineup, which is the AMD R9 390 and 390X and the 360 and the 360X, which are going to be replacement boards completely. Whereas the other lineup is going to be pretty much a complete rebrand of the previous generation products. So hopefully AMD comes back, because AMD have fallen quite behind recently with Nvidia coming out with the new 900 series. It will, and how they've really kind of kicked AMD's ass with this architecture they've brought out, with a really efficient architecture. But hopefully AMD can come back to their former glory, because yeah. So I mean, Are you going to be buying an AMD GPU?
It depends. If they're going to release a nice low-powered one, I might actually look into it.
Because you're looking at building an Xbox mod, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yep. Because you're talking to me about off stream, and it sounds really exciting actually what you're going to be doing actually. So I'll look forward to seeing pictures and a bit of a vlog, I suppose you could call it, of your progress. But I'm not sure whether they're going to be doing a low-powered one. Maybe the R9 360 might be low-powered. Because it is going to be the board, and that is actually going to be released in Q1 of 2015. So you might actually be able to pick that up instead of the new 750. We don't know yet, so we'll see whether that comes out. But yeah, the new 390 is going to have 4,000 cores. That's just crazy. Because of the 290X, as you can see, there's only like 2816, which is just over half of what the 390 has. So that's crazy. That's going to be quite a beastly GPU. And there's been rumours about the cooler, how it's going to be might be using water. An all-in-one liquid cooler, like the 295X2 has. And that's going to be rumoured for July, August. So hopefully it comes back and we're going to see some kick-ass low-power stuff from AMD. Other than that, there's been some rumoured PCBs floating around being shipped to places for testing. But this will be once again a developing story to see whether they come out, because I won't be getting my hands on one because I've ordered my graphics card yesterday, so I won't be able to test it. But I can assure you there'll be lots of reviews up at the time of release. So it'll be a big story, I can tell you. And, yeah. So I mean, your thoughts? I don't know. Is there anything you want to say about it?
Not hugely, but it would be nice to see a little more power efficiency in the AMD.
Because I mean, as I was saying, the R9 290 consumes about 300 watts of power.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit. And the GTX 980 consumes a little bit less than 200.
Quite a difference,
That's
really.
Quite a difference, isn't it? And so AMD hopefully has a low power board coming in, and I mean, I don't mind a little bit less power consumption, because I mean most computers require 600 watt power supply anyway if you're putting a high-end GPU in them. So it doesn't matter how much of that 600 watts that you do actually use, but I mean a nice low power, low profile card would be nice. Eventually, maybe as I said, their 360 or 360X could be low power. I hope they are, because the 750 Ti and the 960, they only use about 120, 130 watts, and that's crazy. That's really good power efficiency and performance that you get. So hopefully that they come back and do that. And the last topic is is your last topic? I don't know. Maybe there isn't. Well, if that's our last topic, then thank you for coming on the show today.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been good catching up with you as well. Haven't talked to you in a while, and there isn't a definite schedule for the show, because last weekend was on a Sunday. It is a Tuesday today. It's just whenever I've got time, but I will promise you there will be a video up or a stream up every week. In this case it will be a video because it's YouTube encoding issues. But thank you again, Connor. I will catch you again in another stream or around at some time. Have a good one.
Yeah, hopefully I'll finish the Xbox PC by then.
Yes, if there is any updates, let us know, and I'll make sure I'll have it on the stream. See you around. Thank you for chatting.
Been a pleasure to talk.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Thank you for that. See you later on. Alright, so that's our stream for today. Thank you for listening. As I said, there's no definite schedule for the for it. Once again, it'll either be, probably most likely be a Sunday from now here on in, because I am starting a course next week. Yeah, it's been good so far. No issues as of yet, and hopefully I'll give you an update when the 295 X2 arrives, which should be next week at some point. Have a good one. I'll catch you in the next one, and see you then.